So we're all scared of what's going on in Ukraine right now. Our leaders are concerned, our parents are concerned, but keep in mind that it's almost impossible to imagine how the Ukrainian people themselves are feeling. And all this fear and suffering is stemming from the actions of one individual, Vladimir Putin. But what if I told you that Putin himself might be even more scared than any of us? There are reports that Putin is on extremely high alert right now, which I'm sure you're aware of, even putting Russia's nuclear forces on high alert and hiding his family in a Siberian nuclear bunker. His reasons for this paranoia are both legitimate and completely unfounded. So let's get into why that is. To get to our first answer, we have to review Putin's apparent motivation to enter Ukraine. Putin is justifying this unprovoked attack by claiming that it's not an attack at all, but an act of defense. An act of defense against what he claims is a rising level of systematic anti-Semitism in Ukraine, which is totally unfounded, as well as what he claims is a potential threat that NATO will take over the formerly Soviet state. And as much as Ukraine has adopted a healthy democratic system in the last 10 years, the idea that the West has any interest in using Ukraine to impede on Russia's sovereignty is also entirely unfounded. But he doesn't seem to think so, or does he? It's hard to tell if Putin actually fears that the West will do something, or if he's just using it as a reason to satiate his primal desire for more land, and to continue his helpless conquest to reunite the long-disbanded USSR. But I'd say it's more likely that Putin actually is paranoid that the United West is infringing on his way of life, because otherwise it's extremely hard to draw any string of clear logic from his decisions to start the invasion. And since his declaration of war, Putin might also genuinely believe that NATO is planning a nuclear strike on his land, which is apparently why he's doing things like putting his family into a Siberian nuclear bunker. But again, this fear is just that, a fear. It's entirely unfounded in truth. There's no definitive answer as to why he's paranoid, but my best guess is that the resistance of the heroic Ukrainian people has taken Putin off guard, and has also galvanized Russian citizens to speak out in their own country. These domestic protests within Russia are breaking through a barrier of fear that's been otherwise holding them back from speaking out against Putin for the last 20 years or so. So I'm not claiming that I can read Putin's mind, but I can speculate and assume that his fears are deriving from a multivariate equation of isolation, paranoia, and regret, whether he'd like to admit it or not. With all of the world either against him or too afraid to outwardly back him, this is currently, as of this video being posted, a fight that Putin seems to be fighting alone. And this is precisely why dictatorships are so dangerous, because one person can make any decision they choose at any given time that will impact the lives of so many. And sometimes that person is not in their right mind. Without the willingness for ideas to be corroborated with another faction that might hold opposing beliefs to their own, the dictator takes on all the pressure, all the exhaustion, all the fear and paranoia that a world event or major political decision would yield. It's just not good. So there's another reason for his hiding. The stakes of his war are so high for the future of so many millions, and arguably billions of lives, that he knows his own life as an individual is in extreme danger. Because, let's be honest, it only takes one oligarch who misses the masseuse on his super yacht to turn on Putin, and also get the accolade of saving Europe as we know it in the process. When there's a good enough incentive, people will flip on a dime, and Putin is at least smart enough to know that. The last and simplest reason why Putin is in hiding right now is that he isn't a good leader. He leads with fear, keeping those below him in control on a faulty basis. But as soon as that fear alleviates, his whole operation comes crumbling down. I've seen a lot of people trying to compare Putin to Hitler, and it's just not an accurate comparison. Hitler convinced everyone of his insane motivations and tragically gained a powerful army because of it. But in Putin's case, at least as of posting this video, very few seem to be buying what he's selling. And that's a really good sign for the rest of the world. He's also a bad leader for the simple fact that he's in hiding at all. Just look at the powerful, effective leadership of Vladimir Zelensky. He is risking everything, his own life, his family's life, just to show his people that their cause is worth fighting for. He's doing everything but hiding, and look how it's changing the whole outcome of this tragic event. It has already turned the tides of this war and will continue to influence the outcome of history with every brave act of leadership he takes. So if Putin is going to hide from the potentially life-threatening consequences of his own actions, maybe it'll help him sleep at night, but it won't be helping advance his cause by any stretch of the imagination. And if he wants to keep his family in a nuclear bunker, then he can do that too. But it's pretty clear to everyone else that he should not be concerned about a nuclear attack. There's just no benefit in it for the West, nor is it something any stable government would do. since most countries choose to draw a line in the sand on certain moral and ethical bases. His reasoning just doesn't make any sense. But I will say this, the reports of him keeping distance from his confidants is the only thing that he's not overthinking, because there's a whole lot of incentive for any of his allies to flip on him right now. The irony is palpable that he's in fear of his own life, considering he's been leading his country with fear for years, and whether he's got a guilty conscience or a bad case of paranoia, there's no debating that he did it to himself. There's a price for everything, and it's not always a red number on a spreadsheet, no matter how much the sanctions will make that a reality for him as well.